Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good to see your faces. Welcome. Glad you are here. As you're finding your seats, go ahead and settle in. We got a lot to do today. Lots of good stuff going on today. Hey, and hello to those of you online as well. My name's Katie. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the worship director here. If you're new, we like to start with a song. So if you're comfortable, you can rise as you're able or stand and join us as we sing along. And if you don't know it, hum along or something. I opened up to you. This love that makes me new. Oh, may my heart receive this love that carries me. Let's do that verse again. I opened up to you. This love that makes me new. Oh, may my heart receive this love that carries me from the head to the heart. You take me on a journey of letting go and get lost in you. From the head to the heart, you take me on a journey of letting go and get lost in you. My heart is open wide. Oh, oh. I will receive your light. You give me faith like a child. In you my heart runs wild. There's no shame in looking like a fool when I give you what I can't keep and take a hold of you. No, there's no shame in looking like a fool when I give you what I can't keep and take a hold of you. More than words, more than words, more than good ideas. I found your love in the open fields. More than words, more than good ideas. I found your love in the open fields. More than words, more than good ideas. I found your love in the open fields. From the head to the heart, you take me on a journey of letting go and get lost in you. sound beautiful today. You can go ahead and have a seat.
Well, good morning.
Who needs coffee?
Who needs coffee when you have children in the front row to wake you up? It is so good to be with you on this beautiful October morning. It has been a jam-packed weekend already. It is going to be a jam-packed morning as well. My name is Jeremy. I'm the pastor here at the Grove Cottage Grove, and it's so good to be with you. We are a new church that exists to grow goodness, and so we hope that you're being with us today. Simply you're being with us today, whether you're in the room with us or watching online or somehow interacting with us out in the community throughout the week. Somehow that interaction is growing goodness in and through you.
Hi, I'm Miranda. I'm also one of the worship leaders here. As you walked in, you may have gotten one of these pamphlets. If you're new to the church, there's a little form on the inside. If you could look at that, maybe fill it out, let us know that you're here with us today. Again, we're looking at growing goodness and seeing how the church is growing. There are also a couple things on the inside there. Ways to give back to the church too, such as donations. That can be in person. There's a basket in the back. We have Venmo, and then there's also online.
On the back end of the worship handout, we have our 3 announcements for today and this month. These are the 3 things that we're really keying in on as a church. I'm not going to give you all those details now and bore you with those, but if you do want to get a little bit of a head start, you can look at those, even scan the QR codes and go to the links that shares more information. Otherwise, we will touch on those things at the end of the service.
And if you didn't hear that, the kids were a big part of the church with that good morning. We love our kids here at the Grove. Over on the little on the side here, you'll notice that there's a little wiggle space. That's so during the service, if the kids aren't ready to go out to Grove Kids, there'll be a spot where they can get their little wiggles out. There's also a staffed nursery for children 3 and under. It is staffed, and then there is a sheet, if you're new here, if you can fill that out so this way that they know who's in the nursery. Also, if those kids are going to Grove Kids, that we just know what kids are here and their information.
Yep, and that card is in the back of the pews. It says Grove Kids registration. In a few minutes, we are going to let those older kids, so the nursery is for ages 6 through 3 years old, and then Grove Kids is for 4 through 5th grade. Got it? What did I say, 6 years?
Yeah, yep, it is.
6 years is not what I meant. 6-year-olds are welcome to go to Grove Kids, who are going to be released in just a few minutes, but it's 6 months through 3 years for the staff nursery, and then 4 years through 5th grade for Grove Kids, and they will be released out there to do their programming in just a few minutes. As I said, it has been a jam-packed weekend, and so we would be remiss to not mention and highlight the huge event that we had yesterday, our pop-up pumpkin patch. How many of you were at the pumpkin patch at some point yesterday? You were joined by many, many more people. I'm going to, rather than me telling you about it, I'm going to bring Rachel Henson. Rachel is the head of our Community Connects team that organized this. She's going to share some of the exciting things that came out of yesterday.
Thank you. So, out of curiosity, how many people slept well last night? I don't know, right? Okay, so yesterday we had the pop-up pumpkin patch. This was truly like a church-wide event. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. So can I ask everybody who volunteered or attended or donated items or anything to stand up? And let's get a big round of applause. Look at this. Holy cow. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. You can go ahead and take a seat. I counted, and we had over 60 volunteers yesterday, you guys. That's, like, amazing. And I do have to give a shout-out. Royanne told me this morning that her table made more than $500 that's coming back to the church. So shout out to Royanne. So I have to tell you guys, I remember Chelsea and I standing at the Woodbury Playground together thinking, hey, it would be super cool to do like a fall event at church. Wouldn't that be fun? And that first year we did it, we weren't even meeting in person yet. For church, and we had 400 people, and we're like, this is crazy. It can't get any better, right? And then last year, we had like 800 people show up, we're like, holy cow, like what's going on? There's a theme here, if you can't tell. Yesterday, we had over 1,700 people come to our event. That's amazing. I also have to warn you guys, what that means for next year is kind of terrifying, so just be ready. But I just have to thank everybody. Seeing all those people wander around our facility with all the fun events, activities, all of us being there, a welcoming presence. We made the Grove known to be a great place yesterday. So if people hear our name, they're going to associate good things with us. Maybe they want to come to other events or join us at this church. So that's what those events are for. Thank you so much for your efforts yesterday. It was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel and team and volunteers. It was a blast. All right, we're going to transition into our connection point. And as we do, kids, you all are welcome. If you're in the kids choir today, you're actually welcome to go meet back out in the commons with Chelsea. We'll see you in a minute. And for everybody else still in here, our connection point is just a chance where we can actually get to know each other. You know, we come, we see each other, but it's really easy to miss making a personal connection with other people on a Sunday and the busyness of it all. So we just want to take a few moments to kind of meet somebody you don't know yet or somebody that you're still getting to know, and just take a few minutes to introduce yourselves and chat about something. But if you're like, you know, socially more of an introvert, and you're like, oh, this is not my favorite part, that's okay, we get it. We'll keep it short, and we'll give you something to talk about. So we're going to give you a question today. Here it is. Do you like to be scared? Are you loving spooky season or not? Why or why not? Okay? All right, so go ahead and take a few minutes and introduce yourselves and chat. you can start to finish up and find your way back. And you can have a seat. You can have a seat. How many people were like, I'm scared of being in a room with a bunch of people I don't know and having to talk to people? Extra points for you today for participating. Thank you. Hey, it's a special day. Today is actually the last day of Hispanic Heritage Month. And we want to recognize this today. Our church is growing not just in numbers, but in diversity. And we do have people in our congregation who are of Hispanic heritage, which is something to be celebrated. Our identities are not separate from our spirituality. They're a part of it. And we see all these beautiful different kinds of people here, and we want to celebrate that. So we had Ashley Rushing came up to me a while ago and said, hey, Hispanic Heritage Month is coming up, and my kids know Spanish, and there's some of our kids that go to the Spanish immersion school. What if we did a song in Spanish, the kids, for Hispanic Heritage Month? And I said, yes, please. That's so great. So we have that planned for you today. I don't know, also, have you noticed the beautiful decorations made by our kids? Amazing. This is called papel picado, and it's a Mexican folk art. So we're celebrating different little bits of Hispanic heritage today. And I do want a disclaimer, like, the little bit of stuff that we have done today is by no means an adequate celebration of people of Hispanic heritage, but it's a start. It's a start. We're getting there. We're growing. Okay, and Chelsea also does an amazing job. Chelsea, our kids director, anytime there's things going on in the world, like Hispanic Heritage Month, Black History Month, things like that, she incorporates this history and this education into what the Grove kids do out there. So last week they made this beautiful art. They also made some other things they're gonna bring with them as they come up and prepare to sing their song for you today. So, okay, kids, I think we're ready for you. Can you come this way? You guys wanna do some snaps or little claps for our kids to welcome them in? Yay. Okay, you guys look great. Are you ready to teach us a song? First of all, can you hold up what's in your hands? I see little lights in there. Those are beautiful. Okay, the kids have learned a song this week that's going to be familiar to us, but they're going to sing it in Spanish. And they're going to sing it through the first time. And then all of us grown-ups and older kids are gonna do our best to sing with them the second time, okay? I'll let you know when it's time to sing with them.
I need to get a snack from my mom.
Hold on, Archer needs a snack. Do you, Archer, do you, buddy. Uh-oh, can we wait to have snack time after the song? First sing, then snack. Chelsea said so. I heard you guys listen to Chelsea better than you listen to us parents sometimes. So Chelsea says it's not snack time yet. Okay. All right, Jacob's going to start playing, and then we'll start singing in a second. Ready?
Esa lucecita, yo la dejé brillar. Esta lucecita, yo la dejé brillar. Esta lucecita, yo la dejé brillar. Brillar, brillar, brillar.
Oh my gosh, you guys were amazing. And Hispanic friends, we love you. Okay, guess what? It's time to go to Grove Kids, so we'll sing you out on our way. Okay, thank you. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Every color, shape, and type, they are precious in His sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world.
Okay, before we do this next thing, I want to acknowledge two things. Today's a full Sunday. We usually get you out of here by 11 o'clock. We might go a little bit long today, just because we've got a lot that's going on, including this next thing. That's number one. Number two, second thing I want to acknowledge is this is a super hard pivot from having the kids up here and singing. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some current events. If you've been around the Grove at all, you probably know that we don't shy away from hitting on things that are happening in our world. It's even and especially the really hard things that are going on. We think that as people of faith, we think that blame him. It's important for us to do it, to address these things, not in spite of us being people of faith, but because of it. So, with that in mind, you probably know that there is a war that is now raging as of last Saturday in Israel and Palestine. Last Saturday, like me, you may have woken up with news alerts on your phone that there was attacks from the group Hamas coming into Israel, hundreds upon hundreds of missiles coming in, people coming across the border, indiscriminately killing anyone they could find, men, women, children, no matter the age. Many of them, hundreds of people were abducted and then brought back into Gaza. Many of those people, again, were not only men, but women and children and the elderly. And it's just like a crushing thing to be able to hear that news and in this year 2023 to be able to see some of that that's happening. Now, over the last week, what we have seen is the response to that, and actually more people have been killed now in Gaza as were killed in Israel last Saturday. On top of that, we've been told by the military in Israel that there is going to be more that's coming, and it is probably going to look something like a ground force moving into Gaza. Gaza is one of the most populated places in the world. This is a place that is full of people, the vast majority of whom had nothing to do with these attacks that were orchestrated last Saturday. And so we've already seen thousands of people die, and there's likely to be thousands more people die, the vast majority of whom are completely innocent. And oh my goodness, most of the time I know what I'm going to say when I get up here to talk about anything. I had no idea what exactly I was going to say, because this is such a huge and complex thing that is a part of a huge and complex thing that has been going on for decades, centuries, even more than that. So like how can I as a pastor and we as just individuals living halfway across the world, is there anything that we can actually do about it? You can often just feel completely helpless. And yet I was reminded this past week of the story that happens in one of the 4 biographies that we have about the life of Jesus, where there's this man who's demon-possessed. And Jesus has given his followers some of his powers to be able to do something in a situation like this. And they can't do it. They can't drive out this demon. And then Jesus kind of comes in and saves the day. And his followers are like, what just happened here? Why couldn't we do it? And Jesus responds with, this kind can only come out by prayer. Sometimes brute force is the exact opposite thing that has to be done. Sometimes in situations like this, the only thing that we can do, and maybe even the most effective thing that we can do, is to pray about it and to try to align ourselves with God, try to align ourselves with what is happening in the world in hopes that somehow, some way, something can be done about it. So with that in mind, I have this prayer that I'm going to read for us collectively. This prayer is called A Prayer for Peace in Israel and Palestine. It was written this past week by Rose Marie Berger for Sojourner. And again, I will just go ahead and read it, but you can join in however you see fit. Maybe just taking it in, repeating it to yourself, whatever. But again, the words are going to be up here on the screen behind me. God of comfort, send your Spirit to encompass all those whose lives are torn apart by violence and death in Israel and Palestine. You are the advocate of the oppressed and the one whose eye is on the sparrow. Let arms reach out in healing rather than aggression. Let hearts mourn rather than militarize. God of justice, give strength to those whose long work for a just peace might seem fruitless now. Strengthen their resolve. Do not let them feel alone. Show us how to support their work and bolster their courage. Guide religious leaders to model unity and reconciliation across lines of division. Guide political leaders to listen with their hearts as they seek peace and pursue it. Help all people choose the rigorous path of just peace and disavow violence. God of love, we lift up Palestine and Israel, its people, its land, its creatures. War is a monster that consumes everything in its path. Peace is a gift shared at meals of memory with Christians, Muslims, and Jews. Let us burn incense, not children. Let us break bread, not bodies. Let us plant olive groves, not cemeteries. We beg for love and compassion to prevail on all your holy mountains. God of hope, we lift up the cities of the region, Gaza City and Tel Aviv, Ramallah and Ascalon, Deir el-Balah and Sderot, so long divided yet so filled with life and creativity. Come again to breathe peace on your peoples that all may recognize you. God of mercy, even now work on the hearts of combatants to choose life over death, reconciliation over retaliation, restoration over destruction. Help us resist anti-Semitism in all its forms, especially in our own churches. All people, Israelis and Palestinians, deserve to live in peace and unafraid with a right to determine their future together. God of the nations, let not one more child or elder be sacrificed on altars of political expediency. Keep safe all people from unjust leaders who would exploit vulnerability for their own distorted ends. Give wise discernment to those making decisions to pursue peace. Provide them insight into fostering well-being, freedom, and thriving for all. Teach all of us to resolve injustices with righteousness, not rockets. Guard our hearts against retaliation, and give us hearts for love alone. Strengthen our faith in you, O God of all flesh, even when we don't have clear answers, so that we may still offer ourselves non-violently for the cause of peace.
If you're having a hard time processing all of this, especially spiritually, hey, me too. I want to just share a song with you all that hopefully will give you a moment to process and find a bit of hope and comfort. It's one that we wrote last year in the response to the war in Ukraine. And it's simply a reminder, even when we don't have resolution, we can still find hope and create hope in those moments. You are the God of the wrong made right. You are the darkness turned to light. dust, we know you'll rebuild. When all seems lost and courage faded, make us steadfast still. You are the God of war turned peace. You take our grief and give us dancing. You are the God of a cold, dark night, holding us till all is bright. All comes crashing down around us. We know you'll rebuild. All seems lost and courage faded. Make us steadfast still. Hope will come again. Enemy turn friend. Bury guns where gardens grow. Rebuilding comes so slow. Hope will come again. Enemies turn friend. We'll bury guns where gardens grow. Rebuilding comes so slow, but we know you are the beginning and the end. You'll bring healing back around again, around again. You are fear turned fortitude, in life and death we cling to you.
Okay, we are going to do another hard pivot. How many of you, when given that connection point question, answered that you like to be scared? Oh, we got 3.5. We got 3.5. Okay, here's the follow-up question. What is wrong with you? I know all of you, and so I can call you out. What is wrong with you? I am definitely in the majority camp that says I do not like being scared. I can kind of handle some scary movies or scary TV shows. Stranger Things, I love Stranger Things. Like, I'm okay. Yeah, the one who likes being scared, like Stranger Things. So, like, I'm okay with being scared at times. It's not necessarily that I enjoy it, though. But beyond simply being scared, what I really dislike, you know what I really dislike? Being jump scared. Because jump scared is like, it's the scariness, but sometimes it's not necessarily the scary thing, but it's the surprise that gets you. So there's the surprise, and the thing itself might not be that scary, but the surprise is just so shocking. Like, I do not do well with jump scares. So, of course, the self-deprecating person that I am, I'm actually going to show you, not tell you, I'm going to show you 2 examples of me getting jump scared just in the last couple weeks, okay? And I'm going to set them both up. So here's the first one. This one just happened a couple days ago, and it just happened like 100 feet from here, right out here behind the building. So I have told our hospitality team repeatedly, because I have experience in this, if you have to have garbage that you bring out to the big garbage cans outside, kick the garbage can first before you open up the top. Okay? And now I have documentary evidence that shows you this is why you kick the garbage can before you open up the top. Hello, friend. Okay, no squirrels were harmed in the making of this video. All it takes is one time for you to open it up and there be a squirrel in there for you to learn that you want to kick it the next time. And like the squirrel's not going to hurt me, especially not that one. That one was just a tiny one to the point where I slowly tipped it over and let it out, and it like walked right past me. It's not scared of me. It's not going to hurt me, but like the surprise was just as big as the actual scary thing. So that's jump scare number one. The second one occurred a few weeks ago. We live here in Cottage Grove. We now live, half a block away from the Ecke Burgers. And so we were walking something over to their house. Our whole family was. And they're big into Halloween and Halloween decorations and spiders. They've got this really big spider web and a spider on it. And then they have these little spiders all over the place. And so I was pointing out to my kids as we were walking up some of the different spiders. Well, I missed one of the spiders that has a big red circle around it. So let's show that video.
You like it. Now, can you look at that cute little baby?
Look, there's one on the... All right, go to that screenshot. You see it? It's hard to see, but both me and my 6-year-old have the same look like this on our faces. Like that spider, obviously that little spider's not going to hurt me at all, but like just the surprise of it was absolutely shocking. So I will say it again, the 3.5 of you who like to be scared, what is wrong with you? You psychopaths. And more importantly, why are we talking about jump scares at church? I promise you that it directly ties in and like helps to wrap up everything that we have been talking about over the last 6 weeks. So we are at the very last week. We're at the very ending of our series that we have called Crowded Table. And like the sub-headline for Crowded Table is Making Room for All. And so we've talked about what are the things that are necessary for us as individuals, as a church, what is required of us to actually make room for other people around our tables, maybe actual table, but our metaphorical tables as well. What does it mean and look like for us to welcome people in? And to do that, we have been looking at a bunch of stories from the Gospel according to Luke, which is one of the 4 biographies about the life of Jesus that we have. Many of the stories within the Gospel according to Luke happen around tables where Jesus is eating with people. And for us 2,000 years and half a world away, this doesn't seem like a big thing, but in the ancient world, in the first century, this was not something that you did unless you were doing it with someone that you were okay aligning yourself with and being seen around. So in order to make the decision to eat with someone, that was a big deal for you to be willing to eat with somebody. So over the last 6 weeks, we've talked about the importance of welcoming everyone and what that means and requires to welcome everyone, to put a leaf in our table that expands it, to bring up a chair to be able to make more room. We talked about the importance of serving first before sitting down at the table and expecting to be served. We talked about the function of shared stories that we're able to tell with one another in order to figure out how to live this life together. And we've talked about last week the expansiveness of grace, that when we say everyone, there is room for everyone because the goodness of God is beyond bound, that it is big enough to include everybody, and that goodness ought to extend through us to everyone as well. Well, today we wrap it up with another story from the Gospel according to Luke where Jesus does a jump scare at a table, 2 different tables. Let me set it up first to kind of lead us where we're going. So we move to the very end, the very last chapter of the Gospel according to Luke, this biography written by one of his earliest followers. And this is the point at which Jesus has died, shocker, and then he comes back to life. And it is on this 3rd day after he was killed, these women go to the tomb to take care of his body. And when they arrive, he's not there. There is no body there. The only thing that is there are these 2 angels who say, you're looking in the wrong place. You're looking for someone who's dead, and Jesus isn't dead. Well, this is a shocking thing for them, right? So they run back to tell Jesus' other followers, who the ones that they go tell are all men. They say what's happened, and because this is the 1st century ancient Near East, none of the men believe the women because they're not credible, or they're seen as not credible. So the men have to go confirm what these crazy women have found. And sure enough, they show up, and the tomb is empty, and they don't have any idea what's going on. They just kind of walk away confused. So at this point, the story shifts a little bit, and there are these 2 men, 2 of his followers, who are on the road from Jerusalem to this other town called Emmaus. And Jesus shows up. But it's like Halloween because Jesus somehow hides who he actually is. We're not sure exactly what he does, but somehow he makes it so that his friends and followers who have been with him for years at this point don't know who he is. And he starts walking with them. He hears that they've been kind of arguing about things, and he asks them what's going on. And in like a sassy teenager type of response, they're like, you're the only one who doesn't know what's going on here. Clearly you haven't heard that there is this Jesus guy who we thought was going to be the one who would save us all, but then he died, and we scattered, and now we showed up at his grave after hearing about this, what these women were saying, and sure enough, we confirmed that he is not there, but we don't know where he is, and we don't know what it means, and we don't know what to do. And then Jesus responds to them and says, listen, here's actually what you need to know about what's going on. He goes back to the Jewish scriptures and explains, this is entirely predictable. This is what you need to know about who this guy was and what he was doing. And that is where we pick up the story. They are just kind of finishing their journey to the city of Emmaus. Once again, the story is going to be up here on the screen behind me. This is from Luke chapter 24. So they approached the village where they were going. Jesus acted as though he wanted to go further, but they urged him, stay with us, because it is getting toward evening and the day is almost done. So he went in to stay with them. When he had taken his place at the table with them, he took the bread, blessed it and broke it, and gave it to them. At that point, their eyes were opened and they recognized him. Then he vanished out of their sight. They said to each other, didn't our hearts burn within us while we were speaking with him on the road, while he was explaining the scriptures to us? So they got up that very hour and returned to Jerusalem. They found the 11 and those with them gathered together and saying, the Lord has really risen and has appeared to Simon. Then they told what had happened on the road and how they recognized him when he broke the bread. While they were saying these things, Jesus himself stood among them and said, peace be with you. But they were startled and terrified, thinking they saw a ghost. Then he said to them, why are you frightened, and why do doubts arrive in your hearts? Look at my hands and my feet, it's me. Touch me and see me. A ghost does not have flesh and bones like you see I have. When he said this, he showed them his hands and his feet, and while they still could not believe it because of their joy, they were amazed. He said to them, do you have anything here to eat? So they gave him a piece of broiled fish, and he took it and ate it in front of them. What's worse than being scared? A jump scare. What's worse than a jump scare? A jump scare and then a disappearance and then a second jump scare. And that's exactly what Jesus does here to his friends. Why would he do this to his friends? I imagine like being in that room, being one of his followers, and you're just sitting around, everything is as it has been, and then you look over and you're like, Jesus Christ! Jesus is like, that's me. Why the jump scare? Why would he do this? I cannot tell you how many times I read through this story this week to try to figure out why did this happen? Why is this story having Jesus do this thing? Why was this story that his earliest followers needed to make sure got passed down and eventually written down and transferred like 2,000 years later? Why this? And then finally, I started getting into some of the details and thinking about what we have been talking about over the last 6 weeks as we have been doing this story. You did not eat with just anybody. In the ancient world, you only extended table fellowship to someone with whom you were okay being associated with. This jump scare isn't just about scaring his buddies. That may have been like a second tier thing that Jesus enjoyed. But like this jump scare is actually an invitation back to the table. After all that had just happened in the days beforehand, these were his closest friends. And in his moment of need, they were nowhere to be found. When the going got tough, they got their tails out of there and they let him die alone. They had no business being around him. And yet Jesus shows up and he extends table fellowship with them. He says, even though all of this has happened, I'm still okay hanging out with you guys. After everything that they had done to him, after the doubts that they still have in this room as they are seeing him right in front of them, he does not ask these questions about, why did you abandon me? He doesn't ask that. He doesn't say, why are you doubting me now? We got to get your theology about me straight before we go further. He doesn't say that. What is his primary question to them? What is the last question that he asks them? Do you have any food that we can share? Jesus, in this moment when he could have closed off the table to these people who had completely abandoned him, extended the invitation instead. And so, yes, it would be scary to suddenly have the friend that you know is dead showing up at the table next to you. But it probably also was surprising to them that this friend that they had abandoned was suddenly like okay with being around them and continuing to extend the invitation to them regardless. Can you imagine what feeling that would bring up within you? The feeling that Luke talks about that they had was this strange warmth that they felt within themselves as they were interacting with Jesus, even when they didn't know who he was. Something was bubbling up inside of them, and it ended up being this feeling, this warmth that they couldn't keep to themselves. They ended up going elsewhere, having received this invitation from Jesus, and extending that invitation to other people, telling what they had seen, saying, this invitation extends further as well. It is not just for me. This feeling I want you to have as well. This is information that I want you to know about as well. As we've been going throughout this crowded table series, again, we've talked about a lot of things that it looks like to crowd our table, the type of people who should be invited. Everyone is invited in. Is everyone going to like that? No, not necessarily. So that table might not be for them, but everyone, regardless, is invited. We've talked about how we need to take a servant's mindset over just simply serving. We've talked about how God's grace continues to expand. It is so much bigger than we can imagine. So yeah, we can continue to invite more and more people in and then figure out the logistics as we go. We talked about how when you're at the table, we can have these shared stories and shared experiences where we find meaning and we find the ability to be able to navigate the difficulties of life together. We talked about all that, but what has been missing to this point is the invitation. You can't crowd a table if you don't invite anybody. So when someone decides that they view the Grove as their church home, when they decide to become what we call a partner, there are 5 different commitments that we say, that we ask each of our people to make. And these are these 5 commitments. The first thing is prayers. So when you say, this is our church, we hope that you will commit to continue to pray for the church and to pray for the community of which we are a part of. Okay, that makes sense. The second one is presence. Presence means you kind of have to be here. That presence, you being here, is important. It's important for you, but it's important for the rest of us who are a part of this thing too. Gifts is the financial generosity that allows us to continue doing what we are doing together. There is service, which is about using your gifts and passions to be able to contribute to the life of the church and the life of the larger community. And then there's that last one, which is witness. I can tell you that I have had enough conversations with enough people, including some of you in this room, that you would rather talk about money, however hard that is, than you would talk about witness. Because there's all sorts of these misconceptions around witness, or even these previous experiences around what we think witness is. Witness can sometimes be seen as that person who's knocking on all the neighborhood doors and handing out things to people that they don't know, and they are asking the question, hello, if you died tonight, do you know where you're going? Okay, some people would conceive that as witness, right? Or it could be sharing your faith, and it happens probably awkwardly with someone that you know well, but you're at a coffee table and you're trying to get all of the details right, because if you don't get all the details right, then maybe they won't be convinced of your faith or this whole faith thing to begin with, and then what does that mean for them going forward? So it's really awkward, and you're worried about not only the conversation you're having, but how that's going to impact your relationship going forward. When we talk about witness, that's not what I want you to think about. When you think about witness, I want you to think about one of the most natural things in the world. You do not have to know all of the things. You do not have to have all the answers. You do not have to necessarily believe all of it all of the time. If those things are true of you, you're just as good as Jesus' earliest and closest followers. Join the club. When we talk about witness, when I talk about witness, what I want you to think of is, what are those experiences that were so meaningful, so impactful to you? Maybe they scared you. Maybe they were just surprising about how they interacted with you. What are those experiences, though, that had such an impact on you that you can't help but extend the invitation for other people to experience that as well? Maybe this whole church and faith thing snuck up on you out of nowhere like a jump scare. You were not looking for it at all, and suddenly it was there, and you recognized it for what it was, and you suddenly found it meaningful when it wasn't something you were looking for at all. To witness is to say, I had this crazy experience that I don't fully understand, and maybe you might have that as well. Maybe this whole faith and church thing was not necessarily about like the traditional church thing, but all of a sudden you're building these meaningful relationships with other people who are having some of the same joys and same sorrows in their lives, and suddenly you're able to share that with them. To witness is to notice that need in other people and to extend the invitation for them to maybe find that as well. Maybe you can't define it outside of metaphor. Maybe this faith and church thing was somehow moving in you like a strange warmth. You can't describe it, you have no answers for it, but there was something that was moving and happening in you. And to witness is simply to recognize that someone else might benefit from that strange warmth as well. And so as people who genuinely want to have crowded tables, and in just a moment we will sing, I want a house with a crowded table. As people who say those words and sing those words, may we rediscover the art of invitation and of witness. May we find contentment in those awkward feelings, sometimes of being scared, sometimes of being uncertain, sometimes of being surprise, but may we embrace them not just as a jump scare, but as an opportunity to extend invitation. And may our most important questions in the process not be, do you have this all figured out? Do you believe it all? But instead, like Jesus' last and most important question, can we share a meal together? May that be so.
Y'all, I would love for you to rise and join us in singing one last time today. Sort of our theme song for this series and for our church. And our kids will come back in and join us in a minute too. To let go, I can be a mountain when you're feeling valley low. I can be your street light, showing you the way home. You can hold my hand when you need to let go. And I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us take on the world while we're young and able, and bring us back together when the day is done. And if we want a garden, we're gonna have to sow the seeds, plant a little happiness, let the roots run deep. If it's love that we give, then it's love that we reap. If we want a garden, we're gonna have to sow the seeds. And I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us take on the world while we're young and able, and bring us back together when the day is done. The door is always open, your picture's on my wall. Everyone's a little broken, and everyone belongs. Everyone belongs. And I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us stay on the world while we're young and able, bring us back together when the day is done. Bring us back together when the day is
All right, 3 things as we go. We're only 3 minutes over. That's pretty good. I'm going to refer to the back of your worship handout again, the 3 most important things that we are focusing on this month, and I'm going to tie them directly to those 5 things that we were talking about earlier. The first one is about gifts, their stewardship campaign. This is about extending our capacity to be able to continue to welcome more and more people. Our stewardship campaign is about our ability to plan for our budget for the coming coming year, and your ability as participants within this church who view this as your church home, for you to be able to make your personal commitment to what you are able to give in the year ahead to help us to continue to grow goodness. If you have not made that yet, you still have time to do so. We're hoping to have those commitments in by the end of the month, so you still have a couple more weeks. Number 2 is get involved. This is that service thing. We would love for everyone who call the Grove their church home to find a place that they can use their gifts and passions to help to contribute to the life of the church. You can find out more about all of those different positions, again, by going to that link. And then the last thing is Grove groups. Grove groups are one of the pieces of presence. This is the place where it's the best opportunity for you to get to know people and build meaningful relationships with a smaller group of people who are a part of the church. If you are interested in Grove groups or know that you want to do them and sign up, you can do so now, again, by going to that link. We do have a teenager Grove group that is meeting immediately after the service today. Jordan Yorshek, who's out in the nursery right now, is going to be leading that. So if you're a teenager and going to be hanging out for that, you can go and find Jordan in just a couple minutes. The last thing, which is not on those 3 things, is next week. It's a bit of a special Sunday. It is MEA weekend. Yes, we're going to be here. Yes, there is going to be children's programming. However, next week we are going to have our district superintendent, Michelle Hargrave, who is going to be sharing with us, talking about the values of our denomination and of our conference specifically, and how those values kind of infuse what we're doing here in Cottage Grove at the Grove, and vice versa, how the things that we're doing here in Cottage Grove are impacting the larger connection of which we are a part of. So I hope if you don't already have big MEA plans, that you will plan to be here for that. Okay, with that, you are already standing, so I will have you extend your hands to receive the blessing as we go. As we go, as those who sing, we want a crowded table. Again, may we rediscover the lost art of invitation and witness. May we find contentment in those feelings of fear and uncertainty and excitement. And like Jesus and his earliest followers, may our most serious questions be, do you have any food we can have together? May that be so.